We are awakening together. This is our weekly gathering we hold online. For more information, visit our website, awakening-together.org. We'd love to see you there.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to our weekly gathering. What we do first is greet one another on the chat board, just as you would in a brick and mortar church. Reach across the pew and say good morning. We'll ask you to do that virtually in the chat. So, Marisol, if you'll play the opening song, please. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Marisol. Good to see how everyone's doing and what your weather is. I love seeing that it's cool some places. That's hard to believe, but you said it, so I believe it. It's not cool here. Okay, I did get the view changed. Okay. So what I want to do now is read to you our statement of purpose. We are an assembly of equals joined in common purpose. Awakening to one true self. Within an appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols, we seek to discern one truth and rest in its embrace. We also pick a core value that's most closely aligned with our message, and lo and behold, I'm back on the same one, number 3. Core value number 3. We accept one true self, which is one presence or being, non-dual, without beginning or end, and absolutely changeless. We live this value by practicing letting go of the belief in the individual self as who we are. Now we'll do announcements. And now we're going to have our opening song. And before Marisol plays it, I thought, man, that's kind of headbangy to play first thing in the morning. And then I came in the room and Marisol was already jamming. So we've already crossed that threshold. So Marisol, if you will, please play the first song. Thanks, Marisol. That was fun, huh? Who knew that song had those words in it, right? And I'm going to switch things up just a hair here because I just want to read you what I wrote. And I assume I know Marisol published it. I just didn't get to see it, the daily update, but about what the topic is for today. I will discuss how reading about the now moment, the field, and the flow in preparation for the recent golf retreat led me to be curious about the experience of presence. I realized I had many concepts that purport to tell me what presence is. Still, the question, what is presence, is not adequately answered by pointing to what it is supposed to be, imagined to be, or reportedly experienced by others. It occurs that much of the spiritual work that has been done has been largely conceptual. The real-time quest to discover what presence actually is one practice that might land one in direct experience of spiritual truth. Melissa's going to read an article in a moment that talks more about letting go of seeking and just experiencing the truth of what's here now. Hence my picking of The Seeker by The Who. So at this point, we'll take a moment for prayer, for practicing the presence, if you'll join me. And I'm just going to sit here for a moment and see what arises. Yeah, not surprisingly, what arises is gratitude. It's always gratitude when I take just a moment to just stop and let what is be. Grateful to explore this journey with everyone that's here, and if nothing else is heard, I hope what is heard is the invitation to just be. And for each of us to experience that in our own way, in our own time. And to just take real joy in that revelation. Amen to that. Amen. Let me tell you that one thing that is here that's really obvious to me, I don't know if it's probably obvious to you all, I don't know, is nervousness. It's like, I come in here, I speak for an hour, well, kind of speak for an hour on Tuesdays, an hour on Sundays, nights, but you give me 20 minutes on Sunday morning, I'm like, all of a sudden it feels like I'm supposed to know something, and I don't. So let me just start with that. I don't know anything. Praise Jesus, right? So, what I do know is that it is time for Melissa to read to us, and I think Melissa said she's still having issues with her camera, so I think she'll read camera off. Melissa, thank you for agreeing to read, and you go right ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I don't have a camera, but I love you all and I love seeing your faces, and thank you for letting me read, Jacquelyn. The article Jacquelyn chose is It's Right Here, Right Now. This Is It by Joan Tollifsons. I want to begin with part of a poem called What Will It Take by John Aston. Do we really need more proof? Another taste of joy, another glimpse of truth, another experience of this, that, or the other thing. What will it take before we finally stop and accept that it is over, that this empty cup has always been full? How many more experiences before we realize that we could never have more of what we really are? In a flash of insight, I wake to this knowing, this simple knowing, that I could never really add anything to this that is already everything. But then, like a punch-drunk boxer, I drag myself up and set out again on my search, determined to find more proof, more evidence, I cry. That is what I need, never quite believing it could be so simple. John Aston, excerpted from a poem that appears in his first book, Too Intimate for Words. I am a classic example of that punch-drunk boxer, that spiritual addict, forever doubting and grasping and trying to pin down the one right way. Yes, I have deeply, experientially known the truth, and I'll get to what I mean by that, for a very, very long time, decades. But then, in spite of knowing better, I drag myself up and set out again on my search, determined to find more proof. Forms of this search have definitely fallen away over the years. But if I'm honest, at least until very recently, there could still be an effort at times to bring forth or deepen or abide in some particular state of consciousness. And there continued to be periodic doubt and uncertainty, giving rise to an addictive form of seeking that felt palpably different from the kind of healthy doubt and genuine curiosity and openness to new discoveries that has also shown up over the years. I've spent decades now writing books and articles about right here, right now, and saying that, quote, this is it. Maybe because that is exactly what I most need to hear. And it's what so many people I talk with need to hear. It's amazing how many times that punch-drunk boxer, that spiritual addict, that doubting mind can reassert itself, endlessly looking for something other than this, right here, right now. endlessly rereading I Am That, or The Power of Now, or The 10,000 Things, or whatever other favorite promises a better moment than this one. Endlessly trying to land in one place with certainty and finality, as so many others seem to have done, and yet endlessly failing to do so. One moment overflowing with devotional love and God language, and another moment drawn to the sober, down to earth perspective of Zen, Tony Packer, or Robert Salzman. Endlessly trying to pick a side and stay there, and never able to do so. And yet, in any moment, all this seeking and doubting and trying to pick a side can stop, and there's only the sounds of wind and the feeling of breathing and the light playing on the leaves. And there is no me and no other and no problem and nothing lacking and nothing that needs to be any different. It's so simple, so obvious, so utterly complete. Until thought rises up again, pretending to be me, this self-image, this character in a story, accompanied by this contracted thought sense of being small and separate and encapsulated, and then thought begins shouting out headlines, spinning stories about what might be missing or what might be better, doubting everything I'm doing, suggesting that, quote, I am incomplete and not good enough. And the body hums along with more uneasy, contracted, anxious feelings, which seem to confirm the truth of the stories. But more and more, and recently in a bigger way, this all seems to be falling away, along with my finger-biting compulsion. I'm cautious to announce such things because I know how quickly things can change and old habits can reassert themselves. But still, something seems to have shifted, not in any big dramatic way, not in a giant flash of light, but gradually. This shift seems to involve an end to these last vestiges of seeking and holding others above me, along with an embracing of the whole of me, rather than trying to find and land on the right version of me or the right version of what I'm doing. There seems to be an ever greater willingness to be just as I am. It's not a finish line or an end to exploration and discovery. There's no end to that, but there is a felt difference between that kind of open, ever fresh exploration and the kind of seeking that feels addictive and rooted in deficiency stories. I mentioned that earlier in this article that I have deeply experientially known or grokked the truth for a very, very long time, decades. And I promised to explain what I meant by that truth. I promised to explain what I meant by the truth, but really, it can't be explained. It's that simple, direct, non-conceptual knowingness of being just this right here, right now, just as it is. It doesn't exclude thoughts and ideas and concepts, but it isn't hypnotized by them either. Thought could put this truth that has been deeply known into many fancy words, but the words would only be descriptions of something that cannot be grasped. Words might describe it as the realization of thoroughgoing impermanence, interdependence, and non-sustainability, discovering the absence of any separate, persisting, independent, pindownable self, realizing there is no past, no future, no thing at all, just this. This choiceless, holographic, seamless, boundless, effulgent unicity, here, now, showing up as infinitely varied multiplicity. No thingness, appearing as everything. Realizing that we can never really leave here now, that this aliveness is actually never absent. Finding the holy reality, the sacred, to be fully present in and as each moment, as the sounds of rain and wind, the taste of coffee, the felt sensations of breathing, and the undeniable awareing presence or present experiencing here now that is impossible to doubt. This, that is the common factor in every different experience. Many fancy words and ideas, but the reality to which they point is simple, simple, simple. Never absent, never hidden. Always obvious when we give more and more open attention to the living actuality instead of only or mostly to the conceptual maps, i.e., the definable world of apparently separate things. And the great discovery is that reality is all-inclusive. Obviously, because here it all is, just as it is. And thus, everything belongs. We don't have to figure it out or choose this way over that way or have some different, bigger, better experience other than exactly the one that is happening right now. This includes everything from rational atheists to the Catholic Mass, from monks and nuns to prostitutes and drunks, from saints to serial killers, from the horrors of war to the idyllic beauty of the most gorgeous and peaceful countrysides, from the busiest and noisiest mind moments to the emptiest and quietest ones. It includes the conceptual and the sensory, the everyday and the transcendental. Nothing can be pulled out of this world and nothing stays the same. And yet, all of it is never anything other than this present experiencing, this awareing presence, this radiant aliveness that no word can truly capture. Everything in the path and the goal, the truth and the way, it's all right here, right now. As you walk the spiritual path, it widens, not narrows, until one day it broadens to a point where there is no path left at all. Wayne Lickerman. As I think Wayne Lickerman also once said, and as I've quoted before, quote, seeking is like having sex with a 900-pound gorilla. You're not done until the gorilla is done, unquote. In other words, we can't just decide to stop seeking or biting our fingernails or getting drunk or anything else life compels us to do. Seeking falls away when it falls away. And we, as the apparently separate self, are not really doing any of it. It's all a movement of the whole. And in some way, it all belongs. It's not personal. It's not bad or wrong. It may be painful, like any other addiction or compulsion, but it ends when it ends. And some addictions and compulsions persist for an entire lifetime. So the most liberating realization is that it doesn't matter whether it stays or goes. Whatever appears, it is all in some way the same nothingness, dancing, and that dance is a very all-inclusive one. You cannot avoid one single misery, ignorance. None of that can be avoided. All of that is what you are. No end to it, There is no happy end. That's the beauty of it. Carl Renz. Thank you very much.
Melissa, for your lovely reading of the article. Just I'm going to sit with that for just a moment. Well, I got to tell you. So I wrote the description that I read you a moment ago, and I sent it to Marisol, and mine had an absolute fit. It's like, oh great, you picked a topic you can't even actually talk about. What are you going to say about that? So there's been a lot of teeth gnashing around here, and you know, looking at that video and listening to that. I mean, which is funny because it's exactly what Joan talked about in her article, right? It's like, who can tell me the answer that I can go into, you know, the Sunday service with and re-articulate. But the other thing that's happening, I mean, that's what mine's busy with. That's what mine does. The other thing that's happening here is a real willingness to be in the now moment, which just sounds so cliche. But I realize, and I think we'll talk about this some more, but I realize that I'm not sure that it's ever really occurred to me to just be in this moment. We've all read it. I mean, we all read The Power of Now, right? But, you know, the question arises, what does it mean just to be in this moment with nothing else? What did I write? One of the ways we might put this is, what is here before thought? You know, and obviously that's what these koans, it sounds like a koan, and what these koans are designed to do is to, frankly, get you out of your thoughts about what's here in the moment. And just allow you to be in the moment. And it sounds simple and it does sound cliche, and yet just to be here. Turns out to be a little tricky to be able to do that. Because, you know, mine wants to come out, I'm looking at this beautiful, beautiful landscape here. And mine wants to come in and go, yeah, that's a tree, and that's a tree, and that's a tree. Okay, thank you, mind, you know. So really, it's like, what is here? The question is, what is here before thought? What is presence? What is always here? What's consistently here? And these, I mean, it's not like I'm the first person who ever said these things. And yet, to really begin to explore what's actually present, takes a little bit of, well, it takes a lot of trust, but it takes a little bit of trust that what the mind's been telling you is going on is not what's actually going on. You know, is there a Jacquelyn with all my history and all my stuff sitting over here looking at trees out there? Is that actually what's going on? You know, if I don't name it tree, if I don't name it looking out the window, if I'm just with it, without the need to describe it or label it or make it into a spiritual exercise, then what's here? So I read you that description, and later I went, well, what's that conceptual? And I realized that I meant, I said, what did I say? I don't know what I do with that paper. Um, it occurs that much of the spiritual work that has been done here has been largely conceptual. So what do I mean by that? I realized that it really meant that, despite my intention not to do so, it means improvement of the person. It's the spiritual work is something that's undertaken by me, Jacquelyn, the person. And to turn away from the conceptual is to look away from the person. To not bring that person into the experience with me. That's what's being asked. It's what's here without the person, without my spin on it, without bringing the character and its story into this moment. What's here? And it's the same here that's here for Marisol and Rhoda and John and Shauna and da-da-da-da-da. What's here? Joan said, the truth can't be explained. It's that simple, direct, non-conceptual knowingness of being just this, right here, right now, just as it is. It doesn't exclude thoughts, ideas, and concepts, but it isn't hypnotized by them either. And so conceptualness is you do bring the person into it, and with the person you bring time into it, and time is who I was, 5 minutes ago or 10 years ago, or what it's going to be like in the future. When I get this, when I get what truth is, that's what it'll be like. But the person doesn't exist in the moment. In order to bring that person into the moment, I have to reference the past or the future. So what's here if I'm not referencing the person, the past, the future? My concepts about what's going on. Yes, this must be present. It looks a little fuzzy. Even that narrative, right, is like trying to put presents in a box, in a package. So as I said, in the golf retreat, we spent a lot of time talking about, if you will, the now moment. We talked about the field. We talked about the flow. Oh, where did I make some notes somewhere? I can tell you no notes got written until this morning because I'm like, I don't know. I talk about this stuff. Let me just look. Oh. I guess if I meant to share that with you, I will see some page numbers here. All right, I do actually. In the novel, The Legend of Bagger Vance, it's about, of course, it's a retelling of the story of the Bhagavad Gita, and the caddy basically represents Holy Spirit or the Lord Krishna. But so this Holy Spirit character says to the main character, Ranulph, he says, "Tell me who you are, Juna. Who in your deepest parts when all that is inauthentic has been stripped away? Are you your name, Ranulph Juna? Will that hit this shot for you? Are you your illustrious forebears? Will they hit it? Are you your roles, Juna? Scion, soldier, southerner, husband, father, lover, slayer of the foe in battle, comforter of the friend at home. Are you your virtues, Juna? Or your sins? Your deeds, your feats? Are you your dreams or your nightmares? Tell me, Juna, can you hit the ball with any of these? Vance pressed yet harder. Then who are you? Answer me. Again, who am I before my thoughts about who I am? Can you hit the ball with any of these thoughts? You can't. What's actually present before the roles, before the thoughts about the roles, before the thoughts about what's happening? I mean, this is fertile ground. I mean, I'm thrilled, just thrilled. I'm like, oh my God. I guess that's what they meant by be here now. Angelo DeLullo asked this question by asking, what is your primary experience? Which I think is a real helpful way to get beyond the concepts of, oh, presence. Well, let me tell you what presence is, right? What primary experience, what's happening here? Once you've backed up out of the definitions and what's here. And the thing about it is, question seems to keep asking itself. The question seems to persist, which is lovely, I guess. It's like once you've entertained the notion that all this stuff you've ever thought about, everything that's going on, is merely a block to the experience of the truth of what you are. It's tantalizing. What did Adi Shanti say about this? Adi Shanti says, instead of asking, how do I get to that state of peace? It's just acknowledging its presence now. Well, wait a minute. What if it's already here and I'm missing it and I'm doing something, I'm actively doing something that keeps me from recognition that it's already here? What is it that I'm doing? He suggests making a study of how your particular makeup obscures what's always been present in any given moment. He suggests getting curious about, how's it doing that? What's the thought? What's going on? And then when seeing it, to say, oh, you know what? I really don't want to do that. I'd really rather turn my attention to what's actually occurring now instead of going off on this, do I get worried about, do I get excited and go, okay, I'm close to awakening? Do I get worried and go, I'm never going to wake up? Do my thoughts turn to my children, my family, my unbuilt house? I mean, what is this distraction? If it's all here right now, and they all say it is, what's the distraction from keeping me from experiencing what's here right now? Adi Shanti said it in terms of say to that, no, that's to deny what is actually present. I would rather put attention on what's actually present now rather than what my mind is trying to create. I mean, you can feel the frenzy in that, the frenetic, even with the seeking, and that's what we do with the spiritual seeking, right? When I get it, when I become like Regina, if I were as disciplined as Regina, when blah 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 blah, it's all past and future. It's all on this timeline of a character, all the distraction. Gangaji said, and you all have heard this, and it kept coming in. Gangaji said her teacher said, just stop, Papaji. Just stop. He told her to investigate what doesn't move. What doesn't move? What's always here? What's the truth of what you are? She said, my teacher said, stop everything. Don't hold this. And at the moment she was talking about a spiritual insight. Don't hold this. Don't hold that. Don't keep this. Don't keep that away. Don't be this. Don't be that. Just be. She says that choice to just be is a genuine acknowledgement that I don't know. And she said, if you say, I know that I don't know, that's one step too many, right? You're back into that role, right? Oh, I'm back into the spiritual persona. It's that willingness to sit there and actually not know. She said, so stop is the first lesson taught by her teacher. She says, and that led to the second part of the teaching, which was wait and see. And we're not willing to wait and see generally. Haven't been. I don't know. Maybe you are. I don't know. I don't, I've been, and I talked at the beginning about being nervous, but I've been too nervous to wait and see, right? Oh, what if this is wrong? What if there's nothing to see? What if what I see is different than what you see? What if it's, ugly and tarnished and tainted? Angelo DeLillo says 90 to 95% of this whole process, the awakening process, has to do with first identifying the primary experience. Then the challenge is being willing to rest in it. He says, just don't distract yourself. Don't worry about what it means or where it's going or your future. Just rest in that. And most of what we do is an attempt to get away from the present moment, to get away from the feelings or whatever, and it doesn't matter what's occurring in the present moment. Gosh, what was that? Oh, he says, even feeling intense resistance is a form of presence. It's not an indication you can't do this, or you're not serious enough, or you're not good enough. Or if resistance is coming up, that's what's in this moment. Experience that. He says it's not better or worse than feeling an equanimity or a peace or a clarity or a bliss state. It's exactly right, because what is always what's best, because it's what is. He says, just look at whatever arises as a texture of presence. This is how presence is appearing now. Be curious about that. Yeah. Lynn says, do I have the patience to wait and see? Do I have the patience? And if not, why? What am I distracted by? I've only been doing this for 40 years. I think I can take a moment the moment, and see what's here. You begin to get the real sense of what people are talking about when they say searching for rain in a monsoon, fish swimming in water, wondering where the water is. At some retreat I went to with Regina, one of the questions was, what is it that distracts you from the singular thought of God? Well, and certainly at that point it was like, oh well, I'm bad. I got all this other stuff going on. I'm distracted. That's not the question. The singular thought of God it just reminds me of the song "The Seeker," right? Isn't this a smile on my face? Aren't I happy? It sounds heavy. It sounds like practice, like drudge, I got to do this, and it's not. The question is, presence is God. Presence is the presence of God. What am I distracted by? And then look at that and be curious about that. I mean, there's a whole smorgasbord right here, right out my window, right in this seat. And I'm going, please tell me how to awaken. Open your eyes and look. What a gift. What a gift to make this exploration of the moment. Not based on what somebody else said. And I know I've told you a lot of what somebody else said. Sorry about that. It just happens. What does my own exploration reveal now? What's here now? Can I be with that? So that's poetry. If anything. um, I've told you everything I had to say. I know I did a lot of highlighting when Melissa was reading. Just the beauty of this. She says, in any moment, all the seeking and doubting and trying to pick a side can stop. And there's only the sounds of wind and the feeling of breathing and the light playing on the leaves. And there is no me, no other, no problem, nothing lacking, and nothing that needs to be any different. So simple, so obvious, so utterly complete. And then you can almost hear the thought screaming in the next. She says, and then thought rises up. She says, until thought rises up again, pretending to be me. And then thought begins shouting out headlines, spinning stories about what might be missing or what might be better. And off I run. Tell me more, tell me more. And so, when we see it, we can just remember that what I really want to experience is presence, like Adyashanti told us. Yeah, I see all that. Much of this work is paradoxical. It's like we're not talking about denying it, but we're talking about really, where do I want to place my believing attention? On the thoughts that say, I have to be thought right now. Or can I just bring it back? Can I go, yeah, I hear you. Just bring it back. If I really need to think about those thoughts, I'll do that for right this moment. I just want to be present. And the thing about it is again, it's so paradoxical, because as we talk about it, it sounds like I'm telling, so this is a practice you should add to your arsenal of whatever, right? And I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying there's a presence here, right now, this moment. There's not a future moment when you're going to apply this. There's not a future series of moments when you're going to apply this. The invitation is to do it right now. Or whenever you remember. Right? That's the invitation. And that invitation is always there. And why is it always there? Because presence is always there. What is always here in each moment? What is the same in every moment? What is unchanging, unmoving? That's the exploration. Even after you go get drunk, cuss out your mother, whatever it is that you do. I don't cuss out my mother. But whatever it is that you do, that moment is still, that primary experience is still there, is always there. What's unchanging as I go about and do? And I'm telling you, my experience is that to ask that question, what is presence? What's my primary experience? What's unchanging? It takes on a life of its own. So I invite you to explore what's here now. I'm grateful for all of you, for the opportunity to explore these things with you. I love you very much. And I'll ask Marisol to play our next song. Thank you. Thank you, Marisol. Marisol has posted a link in the chat. If you feel guided to donate, we do operate on your donations. Thank you, Marisol. And at this point, it's your opportunity to share if you care to do so. David.
Hi. I just wanted to say I resonated so much with what you were sharing. I really loved it. The song was just such a good pick. And being able to recognize this moment, how complete it already is, and then what is it that takes me from it, that distracts me. Just such a great teaching. I'm definitely going to add this to my downloads of what I like to listen to. And it was a really great homily. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
David. Yeah, that song, Nathaniel Ratliff, he's a very, very talented. Any of his music is great music. Susan.
Hey, Jacquelyn. Hi, everybody. Well, first of all, thank you so much for picking this topic today. It was such a joy to listen to, and I loved being able to read the reading that Melissa also read so beautifully. It tuned me into some things that I've been experiencing lately. And so it was the perfect topic and perfect practice for things that I've been looking at. And one of the things that I enjoyed, I don't even know if you used the word uncomfortableness, but something, I think it was when you were talking about Gangaji, what she was learning from Papaji is the uncomfortableness of a moment that can also be our gateway to presence, because it allows us to realize that, for me, when I am starting to feel that discomfort of something that's happening, I realize that there's a lot going on in my mind, and I can calm it down, and I can actually choose freedom, which is to be into the presence that you're talking about. God's presence and our true nature. And it's just a time, an uncomfortable feeling might be the most important time to realize that we've got so much going on, and to let that go and to choose freedom and the true nature that we are, and to fall into presence in this way. So that exercise alone, and you experientially showed us that. I don't think you realized that was part of your program, but whenever you got caught, you started feeling uncomfortable. I could sense it. And because I started feeling a little uncomfortable when you weren't sure what your next words were going to be, and you stopped and you just didn't choose your next words. You let them be chosen by you. And that to me was the essence of everything you were teaching us in this, or you were conveying in this program today. So thank you for choosing the topic, and thank you for expressing it so well. I really enjoyed it. Like David, I'm going to listen again. Thanks.
Thank you, Susan. Beautifully said. Yeah. I wasn't thinking about demonstrating it. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, you see,
So-
you stopped thinking about it. You didn't exactly think about doing it. It just happened, and it was beautiful. It was perfect. Sorry.
No, that's great. Thanks. What we'll do now is Marisol. Oh, we have 1 minute. I don't know who's doing the fellowship. Can we go ahead and play that last song? George, is that okay? All right. We'll play the last song. Thank you all for being here. Love you all.
You've been watching our online gathering. It happens weekly on Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. To join us live in the sanctuary, visit our website, awakening-together.org. You'll want to click on Online Sanctuary in the main menu, and then in the drop-down menu, look for How to Enter the Sanctuary. Right there at the top of the page is a clickable link. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary and join with you in fellowship. Thank you again for watching. Also, please know that if you'd like to stay connected via the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell for more notifications. We hope to see you in the sanctuary.